Hello everybody, it's Sarah and today I want to talk to you about all the books that I plan on reading in July. I know that at the end of July technically it's like reading rush time, but I won't have a TBR for that because if I join it will be at most spontaneously because to be honest I looked at the prompts and I didn't really feel inspired and didn't really feel it, so I'm just going to pass, I think. But with that said, let's move into the books that I plan on reading. The first book is a book that I actually already started today because I was already finished with all my books that I wanted to read in July and I was like, what the hell, let's just start today. And that is The Familiars. That is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. And this is, for once, even though the title makes it sound like it is, not high fantasy, but it is actually historical fiction, a genre that I do not read very often. And the reason why I picked this up is that a friend of mine got back into reading at the beginning of this month and they were like, hey, Sarah, let's buddy read a book. And I was like, that's a great idea. And so we went to the bookstore and we picked out this book because the cover is absolutely stunning. I actually forgot talking about this book in my mid-year book freak out tag for beautiful cover because I forgot about it. But look at this foiled beauty. And this is, as I said, a historical fiction debut novel set in Lancashire 1612 during the Pendle witch trials. And we follow a young main character who is pregnant for the fourth time. The first 3 times were sadly miscarriages and she's scared she's going to miscarry again this time. In comes Alice Gray, a young midwife who tells her she can help her to keep the baby. However, Alice is of course then accused of being a witch and our young main character tries her best to help her. And yeah, I'm already about 100 pages in, even though I only started today. It's a really fast and easy read. And I hope I'm going to end up really enjoying it. By the way, luckily it's silent right now, but if you can hear any loud noises, beeping, trucks driving past way too fast, or anything like that, I am sorry. It's probably going to be in this video, it's probably going to be in my next videos, because they're currently building a house next to my apartment complex, and the noise is constant each day, every day, except for the weekends, and I don't want to just pre-film all of my videos only on the weekends. So yeah, we're sadly going to have to deal with this for the time being. Now that that's out of the way, the next 2 books are books that I kind of dragged over from June because I ordered them, but then they didn't come in time for me to really start them, so I thought I'd just put them on my July TBR. The first of those is Queen of Coin and Whispers by Helen Corcoran. This is, as described by the author, a YA high fantasy of manners. And it's a sapphic high fantasy that follows a queen and her spy master. And it sounds so interesting and I really hope I'm going to enjoy it. I know I don't always have the best track record with YA high fantasy. A lot of times I end up really not enjoying it. But I'm just crossing my fingers so hard, even though the first 2 YA books that I read this month that were anticipated releases of mine, I DNF'd one and I hated the other, but I'm just not going to expect too much from this, but hope for the best. The next book is Everfair by Nisi Scholl. This is one of the books that I ordered after I was like, okay, my bookstore not having them is really not a good enough excuse not to buy more books by Black authors, even though in deciding that, I noticed that it's just really not easy to get books by Black authors in Austria, especially if you do not want to support Amazon as much as possible, because that's in the end what I had to resort to and what I'm probably going to have to resort to in the future, because for all the books that I tried ordering via my bookstore, I got one of 2 answers. The first one was, I'm sorry, we had to order this book from somewhere else, from another supplier, which if I ever get that answer, it basically means, thank you, but you're now going to have to wait 2 to 3 months until this book arrives. And the other answer I got was like, sorry, we can't order this book for you. And that's that. Maybe you want to read one of those books by white authors. And yeah, it's kind of just really frustrating. It's of course not an excuse to not buy books by Black authors, and I'm going to keep buying them. But yeah, that's just a thing that happened this month that frustrated me, because I noticed how dire the situation really is in Austria. Also, a lot of times books by Black authors for me are now double or triple the price of a book by a white author. But again, that just means that I'll buy one book instead of 2 books or 3 books. But now let's get back to this book. This is a kind of speculative, alternative history, fiction, steampunk style novel, and it's set in the Congo, and it asks the question, what would have happened if the people of the Congo had had advanced technology during colonization and during the times of Leopold II. Which, if you have been on Twitter at all in the past month, you will know that Leopold II was that king of Belgium who is one of those people who is getting his statues taken down. And yeah, so I'm really excited to get into this. I haven't started it yet because I kind of didn't want to start it in June. I just wanted to start it in July. But I'm really excited to get to this, and I hope I enjoy it. Next, let's talk about some high fantasy series. The first series I want to continue is the Witcher series by Andrzej Sapkowski. I am at the Time of Content, which is the 2nd or 4th book, depending on how you count that series. And the Witcher series, of course, is a series following Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher. And witchers are monster hunters who have alchemically, magically been mutated to better hunt monsters. And his destiny, Geralt's destiny, is connected to a young child who might save the world, as far as I gathered, or who plays an important part in the history of the world. And I'm excited to continue on with the series, and I hope I like it better than the last book, which I was kind of on. I also want to read 2 more books in the Wheel of Time series, Book 7 and Book 8, A Crown of Swords and The Path of Daggers, because if I read 2 books each in July, August and September, so the next 3 months that I do not have uni, I might be able to finish the series by the end of the year, and I would really like to do that. So yeah, that's also on my TBR, and I'm not going to explain what the Wheel of Time is about because I don't think it's even explainable, to be honest, in a kind of concise way. Something you will not yet know unless you follow me on Goodreads or Twitter is that I started a graphic novel series Monstrous in June spontaneously, and so I want to continue on with that series. I bought volume 2. This is also a kind of steampunk high fantasy series, and we follow a young girl who has this god monster thing inside of her. And to be honest, I was kind of so-so on the story of the first book. It's an average story, it's alright. However, the art is so beautiful in this graphic novel series, and I can highly recommend it, unless you do not like gore, because there's a lot of gore in these graphic novels. Then this month I'm going to buddy read 2 books with my mom as well. There's a lot of buddy reads this month going on. And we're going on a trip together in 2 weeks to Carinthia, and there's something about our trips together that just makes it impossible to not have some element of literature in it. Usually it's just going to all the literary places that are in the vicinity of wherever we are. But this year we decided to do 2 buddy reads, and since we're in Carinthia, we decided to read 2 well-known authors that are from Carinthia originally. The first of those authors is Ingeborg Bachmann. I think we're probably going to read Malina by her, which is kind of this 70s feminist novel. I do not know what exactly it's about. I was supposed to read it for my final exam in German in high school, but I never read it because I didn't read a lot of the books that I should have read. So Ingeborg Bachmann is the first author that we're going to read a book from. And the second one is Peter Handke, who actually won a Nobel Prize for Literature. He's one of the few Austrians who won the Nobel Prize for Literature. And I'm actually not sure which book by him we're going to choose. I'm just going to trust that my mom has one of his books and then just read it. But now that's that, and now let's get into my TBR jars. Let us start once again with my normal TBR jar. So the first book I drew from my TBR jar is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Then the second book I am once again going to pick 3 books and then during the month just read one of them, because I do not want to just have one book that I'm then going to have to read. Next I have The Dying of the Light by George R.R. Martin. I'm not sure if that was the George R.R. Martin book I also drew like 2 months ago or something, or if it was the other one that I also own that I haven't read yet. And then My Last Straw. My Last Straw is a book that I also drew last month, and that is Posinge by Christopher Paolini. I'm actually, for once, really not sure which of these books I'm going to pick up. I'm probably not going to pick up the Silmarillion, because I kind of really want to finish The Lord of the Rings before I get into that. But yeah, we'll see. It's 3 chunky high fantasy books in any case. And now to see which series I'm going to continue this month. Let's take this one. The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skritsky. Actually, I'm first of all not even sure if I want to finish this series anymore, because I kind of felt uncomfortable the way she promoted like a BIPOC male romance during Black Lives Matter, so I'm not sure if I even want to continue on her series. And also I had planned on reading the second book in the series last month, but when I tried ordering it I couldn't find it anywhere, so yeah, I'm just going to draw another series. So I'm going to continue on with the Grisha series by Leigh Bardugo. I only read the first book, Shadow and Bone, so far, and I enjoyed it well enough, I guess. But yeah, let's continue on with the series. I'm going to try and finish the Grisha books before like the new Netflix TV show comes out. But yeah, I'm like half excited to continue on with the series, I guess. It's YA high fantasy, so kind of not really my thing that much anymore. And that was it for this video. I noticed I do have quite a TBR for this month, so we'll see how it goes. But if you enjoyed this video, maybe think about giving me a thumbs up and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as always are in the description box down below, so go and check those out. If you have read any of the books that I want to read this month, tell me your thoughts on them and tell me if it's good that I want to read them. And with that said, I hope I'll see you soon. Bye!